I appreciated the discussion today about polling locations. It's clear that many of the commissioners have, done due diligence, familiar with the sites, and want what's best for the voters. I wish the board would approach the district boundaries themselves with the same diligence and keep an eye on the total number of voters in each district, for instance, and see where there's disparities. I'll just draw your attention to the middle statute here, it's NJSA 19:4-14. Says where it appears that serious inconveniences have been caused the voters by the size or shape of an election district, or that certain districts contain an unreasonably large or small number of voters in comparison with other districts, or that a change is necessary because of a change in ward lines, the county board may revise or readjust the election districts in the municipality. So I read this to say this board has authority if the districts are out of whack in terms of the number of registered voters or the number of voters showing up or the number of voters in a particular party, that you have the power to adjust those. And I think that district lines for these election district level contests come up every so often with the county committee. The county committee members have power, and when you have a team of 2 county committee members that are representing hundreds or thousands of people, and you have county committee members that are representing much smaller groups of people, it violates the one person, one vote principle. And I think that if you look at this, you'll see that that's happening in almost every town. So, for instance, we see in Old Bridge, the biggest district is 5-2 with 2,180 voters, and the smallest district is 2-1 with 334 registered voters, 6.53 times less the number of voters. So, pretty big disparity. In my city in New Brunswick, I noticed that 2-7 is the biggest with 1,500 plus, and 6-2 is the smallest with less than 400. Of course, these numbers do change as people get registered and get move or get taken off the rolls, but it's pretty obvious that this hasn't been addressed in quite some time. I may have misspoke in the past about this issue, and I'm not sure if you're required or compelled to take action, but I do think it would be wise to look into, and I would ask the board respectfully, would you be willing to place this on the next agenda as an item to discuss? And that would give you time to look into these numbers, verify what I'm saying, look into the statutes, get advice, talk to your staff, experts, professionals, and decide if this is worthy of taking action. I think that based on this, it certainly looks like there's a huge disparity in the size of the districts. And, obviously these laws were written a long time ago, but the principles should hold up over time that, we should all have the same level of representation, right? So if you have a district with 3,000 people in it and a district with 300 people in it, the folks who have the district with 300 have 10 times the power, right? Their vote for county committee goes 10 times as far, and it's just not fair. I'll certainly take any questions, but that's all I wanted to bring to the board today. And can I just get an answer? Would you be willing to agendize this as an item for discussion?
Yeah, years ago we used to do redistricting.
When a district gets above a certain level, we're supposed to do that. And I have no idea whether these are actual numbers. I take your word for it at this point. Monroe has 3,104 people in 114. That sounds like something to potentially be split, but it's something we'd have to look at. I thought some number was is it more than 1,500 people voting in a year, or is it 1,500?
We haven't done it in so long. I think it used to be around 1,000.
There's something there. So certainly the large ones we have to do. And I will tell you that, however, in towns that have elections by ward, there were some instances which we have to get, and the board plus the respective municipal clerks are the rewarding commission every 10 years after the census. And we cannot change the ward lines between the census. And in some instances, in order based on the population, we have some districts that are not the size that we would prefer them to be because we need it for the ward. So that I can't respond otherwise, except I know Overbridge elects people by ward as well as Monroe in terms of what you're looking at. So it's something that could be looked at.
Any other comments?
Would you be willing to put it on the agenda for your next meeting to discuss?
We'll discuss it, yeah.
Okay, great. And when is that meeting?
Well, the next meeting will be
Maria?
April 15th. Okay,
Okay.
4 p.m.,
You
5.
want to put it on that meeting?
Yeah, I think we could.
Well,
No, I mean, that's what he's asking you. And
well,
I,
you can take,
You can serve. I'm sorry, guys.
I just, the reason I was sitting like this is because I really believe that what you're doing is not what you're doing. When you read or hear what you're saying, it makes this whole voting process completely political as opposed to representation. You know, because the people are going to be upset about X or Y's because one party or another seems to have any greater strength. And representation is what that vote does. So if we're all voting and we're providing the best areas for voting, I'm not quite sure that we, as board members at this point, should sit and say, you know, I don't like the numbers that you're giving me. What if that person has to travel, you know, 1.5 miles, 2 miles, however long, what's a long distance, people, 10 miles, to get to vote? I'm confused. In other words, I really don't think I want the discussion at our next meeting.
Mohammed?
If you want to put it on, you want to put it on?
No, I'm intrigued by the discussion and the concept. I'd certainly like to look into it. I don't know if committing to put it on for the next meeting is an expectation to make a decision about it at the next meeting or anything like that. I would certainly like to hear more information from our staff about it, and if it, you know, and obviously for us to, you know, potentially, you know, discuss it. I guess I'm reluctant to say yes, it's going to be on next meeting, because that typically implies we're going to take some sort of action, and I don't think I'd be ready for that April 15th. I certainly can commit to looking into it though. So
just to add to what you're saying, just so I think everyone understands, and I know that Don mentioned we went through this with the rewarding process. You know, there's a level of work that has to go into determining. There's a determination, is sort of a recognition that the numbers, both registration and historical turnout, you know, if there's large disparities, there's that conversation, but then the actual action of, I think, remedying in any given town the disparity is a time consuming, you know, it would go on for some time.
It's also past the deadline. You can't do anything now because they've already passed the deadline.
Right.
So whatever would be done would need to be done for the following year. That's already passed that.
Yeah, that was my expectation and assumption, and I just want to clarify my request. I'm not expecting a decisive vote on the 15th that would say, we're going to change X district to Y district, and you know, I'm just asking that it not be forgotten about, that it be placed on your agenda so that it can be addressed and folks can share what they found out in the, you know, whatever it is, 1 month we have between now and then. I think it's worthy of looking into, and I think that, you know, yeah, the timeline of trying to get something done for 26 makes sense, and maybe being prepared to jump on it after the general election and see, you know, the voting results and see how you can coherently and comprehensively address the issue, and hopefully get in the habit of doing that on the regular. It sounds like it used to be done and hasn't.
okay. So,
It needs to be done.
yeah, I agree in terms of the commissioner comments. I'm happy to talk at next meeting. I would never, in taking action, But I think, Tom, I think I'd like to have the commissioners, parts of the, whatever the statutes are applicable in terms of the triggering points of splitting a district or eliminating a district based on size or turnout. So if we can have that, then we can have an intelligent conversation of what potentially we could do with the
I would just wrap by saying that there's two things here. One is what the board can do and what the board is required to do. And I think there are, the first statute addresses what you're required to do, when you're required to jump in and intervene. But I do think you have broader power to recognize that a change is necessary, or that districts contain unreasonably large or small number of voters in comparison to other districts. And once you find that, you can take action if you so choose.
And
If I have-
the result
if I may,
that you are looking to gain
I
by
would have to say that
Equal representation.
the county committee is a party office, and the parties are not required to do a one-man, one vote. So that's a different, I understand what you're saying, but that's not what it provides.
one provides.
The one-man, one vote
And I don't want to
Supreme
hear.
Court case dealt with public offices, not party offices.
Yes, and your representation is the same if you live in a town that's as small as the one I live in, or as large as the town Scott lives in. So I'm still gonna have one voice.
I'm saying it's not, I'm saying that the argument for one man, one vote, based on the size of the individual county committee districts, is not relevant in the text of a party position, because the case law deals with public elections. That's all I'm saying. So we're not required to do that, and we're not necessarily,
Yeah, to
this
say
can
they're
be
not
done,
doing our
but it's
job
not
is a little
reality.
bit of a
Okay.
question mark for me, but I'll look into that.
I apologize if I misspoke before. I do think you have the power to do it, and I do think that in terms of county committee,
It's not a sense of power, it's
some,
logic.
some towns have more seats than their voter numbers say that they should, and some towns have less seats than their voter numbers say that they should. So I'm saying, why not equalize it and have it be equal representation, have the districts be similar in the population or the voters or the number of voters in a particular party. It seems no effort is being made to equalize that, and I'm suggesting that it would be in everyone's interests, in the interests of equal representation, whether required by any court or any law or not. I'm suggesting you have the power to do it, and it would be wise to do it, and so I'm trying to present it in a factual way where you can, not calling anyone out, and I apologize if I misspoke before. I truly, am learning this as I go. I'm not an expert or a lawyer or anything like that, but I'm making a suggestion. I hope you'll take it under consideration, and I hope to hear discussion about it at your next meeting, and I'll try to attend. Just for the record, recording today's meeting for New Brunswick Today. We'll post the video on our New Brunswick Today YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Thank you.